The next step in our activity is to take our 4 letters that you can see over here on the right side of the screen, and then we want to rotate them and place them onto rulers. Now the first thing you want to do is find your rulers. I have rulers already in view. You can see them across the top of my screen as well as to the left side of the screen. If you don't have rulers, all you need to do is go into View and click on Rulers. I have rulers already checked off. The other thing that I have checked off that I quite like is Snap. Snap is a nice little tool that allows Photoshop to allow your objects to kind of snap against the rulers. It can be something that some people like to work with. It can be something that can be a nuisance. So if you find that your objects are snapping to your rulers when you don't want to, you just go back in and check that off. Now I'm going to create some guides. To create a guide, all I need to do is click within the ruler, click, drag, and drop a guide down. I'm going to do the same thing from the left-hand side of my screen. And in this area here, I'm going to create a vertical guide. I'm just going to click, drag, and drop. And this vertical guide will help guide me create letters that are straight. This bottom guide will serve as my baseline. If you have any letters that drop beneath the baseline, let's say for example a J, you want to drag and drop another descender down. Another line would serve as your X height. That would be the top of any letters that you have. And another drop down would be your caps height. So for example, the letter F, the top of the letter F would fall on the caps height. Now before we want to resize our objects, we want to rotate them. So the first step is to take each individual item, place them on the baseline, and then rotate them so that they're all straight. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to begin with the letter F. If you're not on your first letter, just click on that layer. I want to use the Move tool, which is the top left-hand side of your screen. I'm going to go to the letter F and I'm going to click while I have the black triangle so that I can move the object. I'm going to place it roughly on my baseline. Now I'm going to zoom in to make it a little easier to see, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and place all of my items on the baseline, kind of close together, so that I don't have to keep zooming in and out to see them all. All right, and to zoom in, I can either use Control or Command plus, or to zoom to a specific area, I can use this zoom tool here, which is like a magnifying glass. I'm going to click on that and click within the area that I wish to zoom. I'm going to start working on the letter F. I'm going to go back to my Move tool. I'm going to click on F, and I'm going to move my cursor so that my cursor goes from the Move tool to the Expand tool to that Bendy tool. I'm going to click and turn the item until the letter F looks pretty close to my margins that I've created, these lines here, these guides. I'm going to move it up against my rulers, and that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the letter F, and now I'm going to move on to the letter I. But once again, I have to tell Photoshop to commit to the changes that I've just made. Now I'm ready to move on to the letter I. Same thing as before. I'm going to click, drag, and drop from the left ruler here. And I'm going to start working on the letter I. I'm going to use this Bendy Free Transform to rotate the object. I'm just going to do this by eye, and then I'm going to click and drag and place it so that I can see if it's roughly straight or if it needs to be sized anymore. I really like to use my arrow keys, the up and down, left and right arrow keys, which I'm using right now, which allow me to move the object in smaller increments than I can do myself using my mouse. Now that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I could fuss with it a little bit more. I could play around just slightly more to get it a little closer to perfect. Depends on how much time you want to devote to it, but that looks pretty good. And once again, I need to commit to the changes that I've made. Now I'm going to be resizing these after. I want to work first on getting everything oriented. Now I'm ready to work on the N and continue with those same steps. Again, I'm going to use the Bendy tool, I'm going to rotate it. I may need another guide. I'm going to click and drag in another guide, and I'm going to place it on the baseline. Again, the use of your up and down arrows will help. If ever you need to move a guide, all you need to do is click back on the move to commit, just say apply for now, and we're going to move it. All you need to do is hover over it to move it within. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to use my down arrows again to place it online. I'm going to click and drag and do my final letter. Okay, and I'm going to go to the letter E. I want to rotate it. And here I'm going to use the interior of my letter E as a bit of a guide to make sure that I'm close to the same angle of this particular line here. So I'm pretty happy with that angle. I just need to place it again on my baseline, and I'm ready to begin resizing.